Page 14 of the Standard, before we move on from the Standard newspaper, parties shambolic primaries soiling our democracy profile. And this is an article by Kamotho Waiganjo here. And he here calls out political parties across the divide, NASA, Jubilee also included. And the shambolic manner of the primaries has been called out really across the divide. I'd like to begin with you, Peter. Like Chris mentioned, ODM had planned to have their party primaries way before the approved dates by IBC. They've now decided to abide by the rules that IBC had set out. But in terms of the primaries and maintaining democracy in the country, how is that working out for ODM?
For us in ODM, let me correct this perception, which was also being cooked by the president yesterday or the day before yesterday, that CORD in particular and ODM is not democratic. In our constitution as ODM, we say at any particular constituency, ward or county where only one candidate has presented his papers for nomination in a party and there's no challenger, that person becomes automatically a candidate. So our party leader, when issuing the 424 certificates last week, he was particularly giving to those people across the country who had applied for a party primaries, but no other person applied to be a competitor. How do you compete against yourself? So when you see Dr. Kidero, Sultan of Mombasa, the great man of our country, being given a direct certificate, means there was no opponent within the party to challenge him. So for us, we are on the part of democracy. As you see, as our party, we decided we stagger our nomination so that at a particular moment, our election board has said they will concentrate. It starts on 13, on 3 counties. The entire election board will concentrate on that day on those 3 counties. So for us as a party, and ODM in particular, we are very keen, and we believe also as aspirant in Nairobi, I believe in most of us a minority in Kenya, elected in Nairobi, I believe we'll have a fair, free and transparent what?
Party nominations. Before I come to you, Chris Chege, Jubilee has really been hitting out on ODM, at ODM rather, saying that the direct nominations were a breach of the very essence of democracy in the country.
Of course. First of all, let me say, Jubilee, you read in the papers, put in place 20,000 polling clerks that we're going to do. We're going to rival IBC in doing our own nominations. These guys, on the other hand, they first of all dish out. And if it's as true as what Peter is trying to say, why was Ongoro being, going to cause chaos in Orange? Why is Jumwa? And then, mark you, these are women who are being treated very unfairly with NASA. Odoro Ngwen, who's his AD, you could see how he was roughed up in their own party headquarters. These are guys who are not, who are hell-bent on doing, gerrymandering with their own primaries. And then that's what the confusion they have in their own party is the confusion they want to bring to the national whatever. So let me say this, because you asked about what the president has been hitting about. The president has been very clear. If you are popular, and that's what, even in Mandera, where I was there, sit down and decide this is the guy. If you are popular, face the nominations. If there's no one, be given, let them read out that this in Nairobi, there's no one else who was competing against the governor, and then now you get the ticket. This thing of doing things early, whatever, to look like, why, that is confusion. That is why we don't want to be part of it. Because we're going to be, we will be all over the country.
Let's hear
Michelle,
from Chris.
I think it is very clear that the day the monkey is dying, all the trees become slippery.
What monkey?
You look at Jubilee; they have just
monkey?
sacked their staff who are very corrupt and were receiving bribes from aspirants for nomination tickets. They're already printing tickets for their people. Some of these people, they think what they do is what others are doing. What you have witnessed in ODM is clear indication that we are going for victory. We have fielded very strong,
going for
very
victory,
strong.
But in what way?
Fighting women.
Let me just get it clear to you. I want to be very clear on this. We have given direct nomination tickets to candidates who had no opponents, and you must apply, get verified, and get certified that you are a verified aspirant. You don't just apply and get the ticket. What in the case of Honorable Ngoro, what you witness is that the party has rules. And there was violence whereby Ongoro supporters attacked Kajwang supporters, and death cases were witnessed. as a party, we must discipline those rowdy aspirants who want to tarnish the name of the party, because the biggest shot of the party is to clinch the presidency. So we will not allow individual interest to tarnish the bigger picture of the party. So if you come and exhibit violence, the party has clear guidelines and rules which will affect your candidature. So in the case of Ongoro, she has been dismissed because of poor behavior, unruly, and being destructive, and which has resulted into deaths. So as a party, we can't condone violence when we say we want to protect our votes. When you kill our voters, how do we accept you as an aspirant? So in the case of violence, candidates will be nullified, and those candidates who have been nullified must react.
Right, and
so reacting, going to Orange House will not save you.
Just a minute before we move on that issue of the disciplinary committee and this disciplining Ongoro, the Migori issue has of course taken center stage in the past 1.5 weeks or so, and there's been questions as to the credibility or the capacity really of the ODM disciplinary committee to mete out punishment to those who are involved in the Migori saga, mainly because they were senior party officials. Peter, let's begin with you. So we've seen Elizabeth Ongoro be disciplined and dismissed, as Chris has said. But what happens to the top dogs?
It's not the first time ODM disciplinary committee has disciplined the errant members of the party. You remember when the fight came up with Kaluma and the other guy? They were disciplined. One of them was disqualified because he started a war in a political rally. The others were fined hefty sums of money to be paid. You see our Deputy Secretary General, you know, Elizabeth Ongoro is just not a person in the party. He's a Deputy Secretary General. Because of her unruly character, the party has taken a action against her. Therefore, even today, this morning, the communication yesterday went, the entire brigade which was in Migori have been summoned back to the disciplinary committee. And I'm sure the disciplinary committee, to show a good example, this is a party which can summon the deputy party leader to come and explain to the disciplinary committee what transpired.
We've had them meet out summons before and people just blatantly refuse to
according to the investigation taken by the party organs. So for us as a party, let me put this straight. The shenanigans you see happening across the Jubilee side is trying to paste and copy what they cannot match. Because for us as ODM, we have structures for more than 10 years. Jubilee just started 3 months ago. It's an election party. It's not a national party. So the difference between ODM and Jubilee, ODM is a national party. But Jubilee is an election party.
So as it stands, you can assure aspirants in the ODM ticket that there will be free, fair nominations.
For us, definitely, election party board has assured us. I'm also an aspirant. Mark you this.
Right.
I'm a minority in Nairobi. I test elected in Nairobi. If I was so much scared of election for primaries, I could have gone and say, man, I'm a minority. Can you give me a direct ticket? But I've not done that because I'm competing against a majority.
All right. And Shege, just before we move on from this, Jubilee is also not absolved of these issues when it comes to party primaries, and how shambolic they can be. Like Chris mentioned, the president has now ordered the firing of 7 IT officials in Jubilee for allegedly printing fraudulent nomination papers. With regard to free and fair nominations, is this being witnessed in Jubilee?
First of all, they did not print anything. They were duping candidates that they can help them print, or they can help them get ahead. And I think that's a very good direction, that the people who are in the, because our party, as is trying to say, is young, but the structures are there. I mean, you know, we have a very elaborate team that is working on that time, on the whole issue. The guys at the ICT who wanted to play games have been summoned, have been sacked. We didn't summon and punish you with a slap in the finger here. Don't do that again, like the way they handled Kaluma, or the way they want to handle Joho, who took, you know, whatever he was taking in Migori violence. We deal with the we deal with it decisively. So Jubilee, these guys, I don't know. First of all, I don't know where ODM starts and where NASA begins and where CORD becomes in the middle. They are still not, they've not gotten the act together.
We'll get
very
to
few,
I think, Michelle,
days to the election.
Sometimes we need to define what is Jubilee.
It's a party.
It's just a group of people who have come to eat the meat. And you see, when you have come to eat the meat, sometimes the meat doesn't trickle down. Maybe the bones and the soup is what goes down there. So the IT department maybe were not receiving the meat, and they decided to be also clever to copy from the top. If the top is enjoying the meat and not sharing down here, why not us? So they went meaty, and the meat effect has
What
hit
need
them
to
in the
fix?
face.
All right,
These are
gentlemen.
staff
I'd like
who
us
are
to move on
supposed to
from
have,
that.
to be
And
on some
let's take a look
code.
now at page 5